Wife kicked out after having white triplets. 10 years later came a shocking surprise. Nia and Malik had once been the picture of happiness. Their love had been the kind people sang about under the stars. In their small village, where dusty roads wound between huts and laughter floated on the warm breeze, they were inseparable. Malik would often find ways to surprise her. Sometimes with a wild flower tucked behind her ear, sometimes with a carved trinket fashioned from the heart of a tree. Nia, in return, adored him with all she had. When Nia found out she was pregnant, she cried tears of joy into Malik's chest as he lifted her high into the air, spinning her around like they had just discovered the entire world belonged to them. It was a love that felt unbreakable, unshakable. But life had other plans. The call for military service came suddenly. Their country was facing mounting tensions, and all able-bodied men were summoned to serve. Malik, though hesitant, promised her he would come back. "I'll be home before you know it," he whispered the night before he left, his rough hand brushing over the swell of her still small belly. "And when I return, we'll raise our family together." Nia clung to those words like a lifeline. For months after Malik left, life trudged on slowly. She wrote him letters that he rarely got, and in return she received scraps of news, an occasional package, a worn photograph of him in uniform, a few hastily scribbled lines telling her to stay strong. She waited, and she grew. When the day of her delivery came, it was brutal. There was no hospital, no clean bed sheets, no sterile rooms. Only the midwives of the village, warm hands and deep wisdom. The moment the babies were born, the hut was filled with stunned silence. 3 baby boys, but not like anyone expected. Their skin was pale, almost ivory, and their wispy hair was a shocking blonde. Their eyes, when they opened them, shone blue like the deep river pools after the rain. Nia stared at them, her heart caught between wonder and terror. She loved them instantly, fiercely, but she also knew what others would think. Whispers started that very night, murmurs behind calloused hands, sideways glances at the market. Still, she held her head high. She knew the truth. She had never once strayed. Malik would understand. Malik would believe her. He had to. For 4 long years, she raised her boys, Jonas, Caleb, and Micah. Alone, shielded them from cruel words and even cruel stares, working odd jobs, gathering water, cleaning houses, sewing torn clothes. Every coin she earned was spent on them. At night, she would whisper stories into their ears about how strong their father was, how much he would love them when he returned. "Your father is a good man," she told them often. "He will see you. He will see past everything else and know you're his sons." But deep inside, doubt gnawed at her soul. Then, one blazing afternoon, the news raced through the village like wildfire. Malik was back. Nia's heart thundered with a mixture of dread and hope. She bathed the boys carefully, brushed their soft hair, dressed them in their cleanest clothes. She wore a simple, clean dress herself, one she had saved for this day. The boys lined up next to her outside their modest hut, fidgeting nervously. She saw him before he saw them. Malik, broader now, his face more worn, a scar tracing his cheekbone. His uniform hung loosely around his lean frame. His eyes scanned the small crowd gathered to greet him, and then he saw her. For a second, the world stilled. Nia smiled tremulously, her arms beckoning, but Malik's gaze shifted, his brows furrowed, his mouth opened slightly, and when his eyes fell on the 3 small boys clinging to her skirts, the warmth in his face turned to stone. "What? What is this?" he muttered hoarsely, stepping back. Nia's smile faltered. "Malik, these are your sons." "My sons?" His voice cracked loud enough that a few villagers turned their heads. "My sons." He stalked closer, glaring down at the pale-faced boys. Their blond hair gleamed under the afternoon sun. "How can these white children be my sons?" he bellowed, voice raw with disbelief. Nia's throat dried up. She tried to reach for him, but he jerked away. "You think I'm a fool?" he spat. "While I fought for my country, you—" "No!" Nia cried, tears pricking her eyes. "I swear to you, Malik, I would never." The boys shrank back behind her legs, clutching her skirt tightly. A crowd was gathering now, curious eyes, whispers. Malik sneered, pain twisting his handsome features into something unrecognizable. "You humiliate me," he said, voice low and trembling. "You shame me before everyone." Nia shook her head desperately. "Please, Malik, listen to me. There's an explanation." "Theirs." He cut her off with a sharp gesture. "You think I will raise bastards, not mine?" he thundered. "Get out. Take them and leave." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The boys whimpered, not understanding the words, but feeling the rage that rolled off the man who was supposed to be their hero. Nia dropped to her knees, arms around her children, shielding them with her body. "Malik, please," she sobbed, "please, for the sake of what we had." But he had already turned his back. And the villages, those who once celebrated their love, now stood watching, with cold, judgmental stares. The chief elder, hearing the commotion, emerged from the shade of his hut. His wrinkled face was unreadable. He looked between Malik's rigid back and Nia's crumpled figure, and the choice was made. "You must leave, Nia," the elder said gravely. Before nightfall, her heart shattered into 1,000 irreparable pieces as the sun sank low in the sky, painting the earth in hues of fire and sorrow. Nia gathered her 3 sons to her chest and whispered promises she barely believed any more. "I will protect you. I will find a way." They were driven from the only home they had ever known, their tiny feet kicking up dust as they disappeared into the coming darkness, and the village that had once been filled with laughter and dreams became a place of exile, a place where love had been buried beneath the crushing weight of suspicion and pride. Nia walked for days, the dry earth burning her bare feet, the sun merciless on her back. Jonas, Caleb, and Micah clung to her hands and dress, never complaining, even as hunger gnawed at their small bodies. At night, she told them stories under the stars to distract them from the growling in their stomachs. "We are strong," she whispered more to herself than to them. "We are survivors." They eventually stumbled upon a small town far from the village that had turned its back on them. Here, no one knew them. No one cared about the color of her son's skin. People were too busy surviving their own struggles to judge. A kind widow, Miss Helen, who ran a dusty roadside cafe, offered Nia a job washing dishes and cleaning tables in exchange for a small room above the cafe. It wasn't much. A mattress on the floor, a cracked window that whistled when the wind blew, but it was more than what they had. Nia worked tirelessly before sunrise, after sunset, scrubbing, mopping, taking on extra work when she could. Her fingers bled, her back ached, but every coin she earned went towards caring for her boys. The triplets grew. Jonas was the dreamer, always sketching pictures in the dirt with a stick. Caleb was the protector, standing in front of his brothers when strangers approached, and Micah, the quiet, thoughtful one, always watched his mother with eyes too wise for his years. Despite their hardships, love bound them tightly. Nia saved every penny. When the boys were old enough, she enrolled them in the small-town school. It was there that their incredible talent started to shine. By age 8, Jonas won a regional art competition. By age 9, Caleb became the youngest member of a youth robotics club. And Micah, the quietest of the three, astonished everyone when he gave a speech at a school event so moving that even the mayor wiped his eyes. Word of the gifted triplets spread. Scholarships, sponsorships, opportunities, things Nia never dared dream of, suddenly started to appear. With support, Nia finally dared to dream for herself too. She took evening courses at a local center, studying business management. Every night, after putting the boys to bed, she pored over textbooks, teaching herself concepts that had once seemed unreachable. Within 5 years, she launched a small catering company. Within 7 years, her company had expanded to 3 towns, employing dozens of workers. Within 8 years, she was invited to speak at women's empowerment events. Her story, inspiring others. The once broken woman who had fled her village was now a respected businesswoman, mother of 3 brilliant boys, and a symbol of hope. But destiny wasn't finished with Nia yet. On a golden afternoon 10 years after she had been thrown out, she received an invitation. A regional cultural festival was honoring local heroes who overcame adversity, and her name was at the top of the list. The event was being held in the very region where her old village lay. Nia hesitated. The wounds ran deep, but Jonas, Caleb, and Micah encouraged her. "Let them see, Mama," Jonas said, his voice firm. "Let them see who you are." With her sons, now teenagers, standing tall beside her, she returned. As they stepped onto the festival grounds, whispers rose from the crowd, eyes widened, mouths gaped. There she was, the woman they had cast out, her back straight, her head high, her sons handsome and bright-eyed in clean-pressed shirts. And beside her, reporters snapped photos. Local dignitaries shook her hand, and children ran to hug her. But the biggest shock was yet to come. Among the sea of faces, Nas saw him, Malik, older now, his face more lined, his shoulders slightly hunched, his eyes widened as he saw her. And the boys, he stumbled forward, words clogging his throat. "Nia," he rasped. She faced him with calm dignity. He stammered, guilt and regret wearing on his face. "I was wrong. I didn't know." She smiled sadly. "You didn't even ask," she said simply. "You judged. You humiliated. You abandoned." Tears filled Malik's eyes. "I lost everything," he whispered. "After you left, the village turned on me when they realized the truth." Nia blinked slowly. "What truth?" He swallowed thickly. "Your boys, they look just like my grandfather," he said hoarsely. "He was mixed race, light-skinned, blond as a child. My own blood carried those genes. I was too blind to see it." The crowd buzzed with gasps and murmurs. It was true. Several elders had later confirmed it. Malik's grandfather had been half European, a fact many had forgotten or ignored until it was too late. The triplets had always been his own blood, his own legacy, but by then it was far too late. Nia looked at Malik for a long moment, then gently shook her head. "I forgive you," she said softly. "But my forgiveness doesn't mean my return." Malik crumpled. She turned, gathering her sons close, pride swelling in her chest. Jonas was already sketching the moment. Caleb was recording with his phone, capturing the day their mother was honored, And Micah, steady, wise Micah, walked beside her, his arm brushing hers, a silent promise that they would never be broken again. That night, as fireworks bloomed across the sky, Nia stood surrounded by people cheering her name. Her past no longer haunted her. Her future blazed ahead, bright and boundless. And the woman once thrown away for her supposed shame was now a queen in her own right. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.